welcome to today's top story. We had a bit of a scare at one of our high schools last week, and it really, makes you stop and think about the potential of, because we hear about it in the news all the time, school shootings or bomb threats, that sort of thing. Superior Heights was closed down for a little while. Talking to us because it's Tuesday and it's a sunny day here on Top Story. Tell us about that event in particular. It was Superior Heights, and you got a call like late evening, from what I understand.
Yeah, so our officers work very, very closely with the school board and with school faculty on a regular basis. We have officers that are dedicated to all of the high schools here in Sault Ste. Marie. And I know our officers, even when they're off, they're taking a lot of calls, and this was no exception. We had an officer who was actually off duty, who was taking some calls from the schools in the evening and trying to sort out some information that was coming through and happening late in the evening.
And when you say they work closely with the school, they're actually physically in the school a lot of the time, aren't they?
Yeah, actually every day. Every day they're in the schools every day. They work through all 4 high schools here in town every single day, and they work very closely with the staff, faculty, and students there on a regular basis.
So he was taking calls off duty?
Yeah, well, she was. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, she was taking the call and sorting this kind of stuff out in the previous evening, just before this had happened, and was trying to really sort out really what was going on and really what the threat was, or if there was a threat, and did a really great job of doing that. The next morning, out of an abundance of caution, the school sent out a message, an automated message on their messaging system, which is actually a great system.
Isn't that a great idea?
If you've ever seen it work, it's really fantastic. They can script a message and really, with the push of a button, send it out to everyone that's connected to the school. It's a really, really great system.
Great for parents and notifications,
yeah, really
right?
Great notification system. Really, really great. So to be clear, the school was actually never closed. They never did close the school at all. Just simply to really help them monitor and manage the situation. They wanted to reduce some entry to the school to one main door, to bring everyone through that main door. We were satisfied.
I do recall that.
Yeah, we were satisfied. They were satisfied that there was not going to be any kind of a threat or any kind of a danger to students. If we ever perceived that, if we ever thought there was a significant threat to student safety, we wouldn't be bringing anyone into that school, period.
Right.
We would make sure that it was shut down and that nobody had access to it. What they were trying to do that day was simply find a way to manage it and figure out exactly what was going on with some of the students.
Now, how did it come about? Because there's some rumors floating around town, as you can imagine, I'm sure.
Yeah, there always are.
A student overheard another student and took them seriously?
Yeah, so this is a case where people sometimes say things that they don't mean, and maybe are saying it even in a joking way, and someone who overhears it it all depends on how that person interprets what's going on. And we never want someone to just sit on that information. If you've ever heard something or seen something that you just think, I'm not really sure about this, we really want to encourage everyone to come forward. That is what happened in this scenario, and we had to take steps to ensure the safety of everyone. So we worked very closely with the school board in order to do that. But it serves as a really great reminder and a really great message for people to really be careful about what you're saying in public areas. You never know, someone else's scope of experience can be completely different than yours, and they may take something completely that you said very innocently out of context, and that's how things can sometimes become overwhelming. We do know in the end, when we were able to resolve everything, we do know that there was absolutely no criminal intent to what was done and what was said in this particular incident, but the school obviously reacted quickly to ensure everyone's safety.
Now, for parents out there, it's not a situation where the police would be, annoyed or, oh, geez, now we have to deal with this, and it's a false alarm, and what's wrong with your kid? And that's not the case. You want to hear from anybody who thinks they may have an issue.
Bottom line, we want to hear from everyone. If you have a concern, if you have an issue, we want to hear from you. There's many ways that you can contact us, and if you think there's something going on, especially if you're in a school, there are teachers and faculty around the school that you can absolutely approach at any time if you have any kind of a concern. They're the folks, and we're the folks that are trained to deal with these scenarios, and please let us deal with it. That's absolutely fine, and we want to hear from everyone.
I think it's really good to reinforce that message for parents and for students too, because for so long, when someone's abused or someone's been bullied, they internalize and they know I'm not telling anybody, I'm not saying anything. So it's good. to talk about it, to get it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know every single issue that's going on in the schools. We're pretty tuned in. Our officers are pretty tuned in. They know the workings of the school, and they know kind of who's in those schools. They do a great job of doing that. But when you have 600 or 800 students in one single school, it's really hard to know everybody and know everything. So we do rely on people coming to us and giving us information when things are wrong.
And you know what? It's a good point to make too, because you got to watch what you're saying and how you're saying it. Because even if suddenly I just thought, if you're talking about a TV show, in high school, and you're in the hallway and chatting, and somebody walking by might interpret that as, oh my gosh, that's what they're going to do. You know?
Yeah, it's really important to make sure be aware of your surroundings, and be aware that when you say things, people may interpret them differently than what you mean, and it all depends on your demeanor and things like that. Obviously, if you say something while you're frustrated and upset, you certainly seem a lot more agitated, and maybe it gives a little credibility to some of the things that you may be saying. So it's important for people to realize that other people are going to hear that differently sometimes.
You know what, Sonny? I bet there are different levels of emergency calls in a situation like that, because you guys determined pretty quickly that the school was not going to have to be on lockdown. It was going to have only one entrance available, so that you could still have a bit of control there. So there's going to be different levels of urgency.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, if we ever felt that there was any kind of a threat to the students there, we're going to shut that entire school down. We're going to shut whatever area it is down, and we're not going to allow anyone to have access to it. On this particular day, it took us a very short period of time in the morning to really resolve the entire situation while we were working with the school staff, and we were able to fully open that school within about an hour and a half or so. We were able to fully open the school up. It was really, really good.
And I have to say, sitting on this side of the desk, and having been working with the police as far as journalism goes for 33 years or so, it was awesome how you kept everybody up to speed, like by the minute, it felt like.
Yeah, and that was one of our main goals, was to make sure that everybody had regular updates so that they knew where we were with the investigation, and they knew that everyone was still safe, and that in fact the safety level was increasing. It was actually safer,
Right.
And we wanted folks to feel comfortable returning to school throughout the day.
And even for neighbors, right? I'm thinking
Yeah,
of an
absolutely.
elderly woman who lives by herself in a little house just down the road. She might be scared,
Yeah.
but if we're able to update her, she
Yeah.
can calm down.
And you're right, there is a big residential area around there, and we know that there's a lot of stuff and a lot of people that are going to be moving around there in the mornings, and obviously with something like this, it increases some of the difficulties moving through traffic and things like that. So we want to make sure that people know well in advance so that they can plan their routes in the morning.
Now, in a situation like that, should they have called 911? Do they, like if a parent is hearing from their kid while they're having dinner, and the parent, it's a red flag, do they call 911, or do they just call directly to?
No, and we would always encourage folks to call if there's an immediate emergency. If there's something
Right.
going on right now, yeah, call 911. But if you think that there's something that you want to report, we encourage you to call our business line, which is 949-6300, and you can speak to an officer there 24 hours a day, or you can have an officer come out and see you 24 hours a day. That's not a problem. But definitely, if there's an emergency happening right now, we want to encourage you to call 911.
And there's no concern that's too little for you to at least want to be able to hear about it and talk to the person about it.
Yeah, sometimes people call us and or message us, and we get a lot of things sometimes where people say, listen, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I just want to tell you, here's what I saw.
Right.
And I get a lot of these messages online on a regular basis, and people will send me a message saying, listen, I don't know if you're aware of this, but here's kind of what we're seeing out there. And oftentimes I can thank them and tell them, yeah, you know what, we are aware of that, but thank you for telling us, because maybe we weren't, right?
Right.
But we still want to encourage people to be able to have that conversation with us. It never hurts to have a little extra information.
Absolutely. Now, just before we go, Sonny wants to talk about the Blue Light Project.
I want to talk about Project Blue Light. Actually,
That's
this
so
is
cool.
Project Blue Light is a great event. It's only about an hour long, and it happens once a year. This is the 8th annual Project Blue Light, and it happens every year at the Bethel Bible Chapel down on Black Road at the corner of Black and Second Line. It's open to the public, and it's only about an hour long ceremony. Starts at about 7:00 p.m. And this year the guest speaker is Chief Stevenson, so he'll be speaking today.
Awesome.
And what we do throughout the hour is we actually honor law enforcement personnel from across professions, any kind of law enforcement personnel from the region, whether it's police officers, customs officers, any kind of enforcement, and civilian partners who work with us. We honor all of them who have unfortunately passed away in the line of duty. Now, when we talk about people who've passed away in the line of duty, we don't necessarily just mean people who were killed in the line of duty. Oftentimes we have people who fall victim to very serious illnesses and unfortunately pass away during in the line of duty, or other unfortunate circumstances. So we want to take time to make sure that we honor those people and honor their families as much as we can. This year, I know that there's a few people that are going to be added to the honor roll, which is unfortunate, but we also love having the opportunity to honor them, and we welcome the public to come in.
That's awesome. And when is it? It's at the
This will be
Bethel Bible Chapel.
Wednesday night, this Wednesday, November 28th, from 7 o'clock until 8 o'clock p.m. If you haven't had a chance to see it, it's a great opportunity for you to have some insight into what law enforcement families go through on a regular basis.
And you know what? Good for you guys for remembering, right?
Yeah.
Because people are dedicated and just want to do the right thing, and then they pass away in the line of duty, and it's good to recognize that.
Yeah, and it's very important for us to make sure that we do open this up to the public so that everybody can come and have a chance to mourn with us and actually honor these people as well.
Always good to see you, Sonny. Thanks so much.
No
Next
problem.
Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, we'll see you here.
Okay,
Thanks.
sounds good. Thanks so much, and we will be right back with more Top Story right after this.